That's what the capitalist market wants, just to keep them consuming, insatiable, never able to be satisfied, never to have their wants satisfied, never being able to finally reach the point to say, you know what, to be human is maybe to think, reflect, bear witness, and take time enough to tell the truth. Tell the truth. I love the cross and the animal human services. I love it. I love the animals. I spent a couple of days in church and the cross. Unarmed truth. And the condition of truth for human beings is always to allow suffering to speak. Suffering is not speaking. You can rest sure there's a large dose of mendacity operating. Somebody's lying. Like the U.S. Constitution, 22% of the inhabitants are enslaved Africans, dignified human beings, enslaved 22%, generating the wealth which is a precondition for the democracy after the land was dispossessed of our precious indigenous brothers and sisters. But how you have a U.S. Constitution, no reference to the institution of slavery, when the institution of slavery is a precondition of your Constitution? You end up fighting the Civil War over an institution not invoked in your Constitution. It's a very complicated gap between ideals and practice. I said, no, it's deeper than that. It's profound hypocrisy and mendacity that allows people to think that somehow they can live in a state of denial forever. No way. Chickens come on the roost, you know. You reap what you sow. Sooner or later, truth crushed the earth will rise again. You have to come to terms with the suffering of those 22%, one way or the other. You end up with the most barbaric civil war of all of modern times. 800,000 precious human beings killed, murdered, gone, struggling over what? What is the status of these black people, given the fact that the South wants to preserve its freedom by keeping them slaves and unfree? Oh, Brother West, that sounds anti-American now. I'm anti-justice in America. I just want to tell the truth. Right. You had Brother Douglas, Blackman, God bless Blackman. He's a white brother, but his last name is Blackman. I like that. Anybody can tell the truth. My parents used to say almost every time he spoke, over and over again. I don't care who tells the truth. I'm just for it. I'm for justice. I don't care who's for or against. That's Malcolm X. It's not the Malcolm X mainstream culture. Malcolm X mainstream culture. He's a hater. As he hates himself, well, first, he has a deep love for black people. You start off with a deep love for black people, you're not going to be highly popular. You're going to be measured by how you affect my fears, insecurities, and anxiety. Now, Malcolm was wrong to say that white brothers and sisters were devils. That's wrong. But what he was trying to do was keep track of devilish behavior. He's right to keep track of devilish behavior. And there's devilish behavior on every corner, every sector, every point of time. Across the board. He's keeping track of the vicious legacy of white supremacy. We don't even like to use the language in America these days. We don't just like to talk about race like it's neutral. It's a very, that's that deodorized discourse. That's why Martin gets sanitized and sterilized. Why was Martin so popular? Because he loved white brothers and sisters. Yes, he did. But he didn't go to jail for 31 years. Because he loved white brothers and sisters. He went to jail for 31 times. He went to jail 31 times because he loved black people. Nelson Mandela saying, well, why is Nelson Mandela so popular? Well, he didn't kill white folk. No, he didn't. He was a decent man. allow him to love precious vanilla brothers and sisters. He said, we got the legacy works, we got a whole lot of black folk these days, especially highly professional black people, who love everybody but black people. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I'm fundamentalist about that line. Oh, we got a lot of fundamentalist Christians in America. They don't really like that line too much. They want to get to some other parts of the text and then get literalistic about it. No. What we are seeing in Ferguson is the emergence of a grand awakening of young folk in the face of oppression of arbitrary police power, of school systems that too often produce soul murder in our young people, of massive unemployment that is depression-like. Even this very moment when you hear on TV how strong the economy is and how intense the recovery is, you wonder, which part of town are you talking about? About my poor white brothers and sisters too. They catching hell economically. It doesn't register when it comes to the statistics that are put forward every day. They quit counting a long time ago, folk who giving up looking for work. They quit counting a long time ago, those who are working part-time, and they don't even keep track of the folk who are working and still living in poverty. Almost 18% is a crime against humanity. Or the 40% of children, black and brown, who live in poverty. Can you imagine that the richest nation in history of the world with 40% of its children of color living in poverty and 22% of all of its children, no matter what color, living in poverty? It's a moral abomination. Where are the voices? Where's the movement? The Occupy movement attempted to at least raise the issue. How can we live in a society with 1% of the population on 43% of the wealth? One family has wealth equivalent to 150 million Americans. The Walmart family. I love the Walmarts as human beings and made in the image of God, but I'm critical of vast wealth inequality that leads too many of God's children to have to live lives of social misery. Where's the hope? Where's the holy anger? Where's the righteous indignation? Oh, look at Martin King in 1967. What was he trying to do? Bring together all poor people, all colors together. Why? Because they were living lives of social misery that were unjustified. He was going to shut Washington, D.C. down. Yes, he was. He had already made contact with Malcolm X 2.5 years earlier to take the United States to the United Nations for the violation of the human rights of black people. Look at the FBI file of June 27, 1964, and you see Martin and Malcolm communicate. Most people don't know that. Or the last sermon that Martin was going to give, he wrote it down on a piece of paper when he was in Memphis in the room. Lorraine Motel. What was the title of that sermon? Why America May Go to Hell. That's Martin King. That's not Jeremiah Wright. He didn't say America should go to hell, no. He didn't say America ought to go to hell, no. He said America may go to hell. Why? Because of 4 viruses. Materialism, militarism, poverty, and racism. All 4. And you have to have integrity in responding to the spiritual catastrophe of materialism, the moral catastrophe of racism, the economic
economic catastrophe of poverty and the imperial catastrophe of militarism. And those viruses will keep the heart and soul of your democracy in such a way you're going to end up with a dysfunctional Congress, with many of your congressmen and women just enacting legalized bribery and normalized corruption, giving the 15,000 lobbyists who bombard them every day with big money and write their own legislation in the name of corporate interest and Wall Street interest. You're going to end up with a culture, with a media that doesn't really want to engage in the truth, but wants to throw out weapons of mass distraction. Keep folk distracted from what really matters. Keep folk distracted from what's really at stake. And just keep them so tied into instant gratification and fleeting pleasures that lo and behold, when it's time for them to make their move to the coffin and for their bodies to be the culinary delight of terrestrial worm, they'll wonder, what did I do with my life that had something to do with integrity? Because when they preach your eulogy, it's not going to be about how much money you got and how big your car is. It's going to be about whether you had enough integrity and character and was willing to sacrifice for something bigger than you. This is true not just for black people, it's true for Americans as a whole, but it's especially true for black folk. Why is that so? Because the black freedom movement has always been the leaven in the American democratic loaf. Y'all know what a leaven is? Expand the loaf. Part of the greatness of the black freedom struggle is what? Not only that it was concerned about justice, but it always understood that any justice that's only justice soon degenerates into something less than justice. Justice is rescued only by something more profound than justice, and that's love. We black people have been one of the most hated people in the modern world. We talk the world so much about love. So much about love. And lifting our voices. That Love Supreme of Coltrane, the Caravan of Love of the Isaac Brothers. That love train that Curtis Mayfield sings about, the people get ready. That love and need of love that Stevie Wonder sings about. That love that sits at the center of the best of the black church. That says, yes, you love yourself and you love others, but you understand that justice is what love looks like in public. So if you really love, you can't stand the fact that folk are being treated unfairly. You loathe the fact they're being treated unjustly. And if you don't do something, the rocks are going to cry out. Oh, that's what kind of love we talk about. Also, the fact that tenderness is what love feels like in private. Black people historically have been the most tender of people. In our voices. Tenderness of Reverend C.L. Frank. And the stop and forget. The tenderness. Otis Red, back at Otis Red. Make you be a wrestler. Big, beautiful. Sing a little, try a little tenderness. Right. I tell young folk, that's not say your name, say my name, say my name, say my name. That's my little tenderness. Bobby Brown Brony is a tender Brony. Babyface writing the music. Militant tenderness. What did Martin King King say when Malcolm X was shot in February 1965. He said explicitly, he wrote down, he said, Malcolm X had the most sweet of spirits. What did James Baldwin write in April 1972 in Esquire magazine that would become the chapter No Name in the Street? I never met a more gentle person than Malcolm X. How could that be? Malcolm X gentle? Yes. Militant tenderness and radical gentleness and subversive sweetness have always gone hand in hand with the Black freedom struggle. a sweetness and a tenderness. You're going to end up, and I've taught in prisons now for 37 years. Just finished my course at Broadway. Maximum security. I can see the shift over the 37 years. How the hardness, the hardening of heart, the coarsening of conscience, the chilling of the soul of young folk feeling what? So unloved and uncared for and unattended to, that gentleness and sweetness and tenderness is not a part of their repertoire of living. Oh, that I think of what I had when I was coming along. All that love coming at me, all that gentleness and sweetness and gentleness, all of that insight, all of that courage, and what has happened at the very moment when somehow it looks as if, oh, black folk are so successful. They got black professors in these schools, they got black presidents, they got black heads of the CEO. You say, yes, but what is the quality of life for the everyday people? That's right. Tell me about the black person who broke the glass ceiling. I want to know about the folks stuck in the basement too, you know. Oh yeah. I'm not impressed with the peacocks walking around. I'm so smart, I'm so sophisticated, I'm so rich. I can hear my grandmother saying, peacocks strut because they can't fly. Workplace is life. This is not a political issue fundamentally. It's an issue of what it means to be a moral and a spiritual person trying to answer Du Bois's first question. How does integrity face oppression? We see it in our leadership. How many leaders, black, white, red, yellow, can you say, as soon as you hear their name, the word integrity comes up? When I was coming along, I had a long list. Starting with my father, Mr. Leon, Mrs. Leon, starting with Reverend Cook, but it went on to Fannie Lou Hamer, went on to Ella Baker, went on to Diane Nash and James Lawson, and went on. Yes, Huey Newton. Huey Newton was a PK, you know, he was a preaching kid, you know, he was the son of Reverend Walter Newton of Bethel Baptist Church of Monroe, Louisiana. He was the baddest Negro in that town. No policeman would touch him. Huey just wanted to be like his father, gave up on the God talk because he thought the black church had failed him. He ended up converted. He was eulogized by